There you are. Where have you been? I've been busy for the last few weeks, just doing some like house renovation-y type stuff, you know, moving from one place to another. Essentially a sort of big bathroom rip out and refit and all this type of stuff. If you want to see what I'm doing when I'm not doing the videos, find me on Facebook, Tasty Classics on Facebook, or Instagram, Tasty Classics on Instagram, and I post loads of updates on there, and like, you know, the new Left 4 Deads and things that are coming, which there's one parked outside now, which is exciting, and I'll be doing next week, I think, or the end of this week. Anyway, where are we up to? Well, the last time you saw us, we were doing some more on the Panhard. We got the brakes all working. Now it's time to get this thing moving, you know. The problem I had though was, as you can see here, the carburettor. Now, what I thought with this was going to be a small gasket on the base of the carburettor or something leaking. Turned out to not be that at all. It turned out that it was where the butterfly valve rotates in its sort of home. It was leaking out of the O-ring at the end, so I had to strip it all down, put all new parts on. I had to make a gasket because the gasket set that I got wasn't quite the right one, because the one that I need, hey, it doesn't exist, you know. And then yeah, so we're at this stage where I put it all back together, and I was like, oh, fantastic, right, let's fire it all up. And it still leaked. So I got my little mirror and a torch and all this sort of stuff, and it's not the carburettor leaking now, it's something on the inlet manifold side. So, yay, it's all going to come out again. Cool. And also, it's just revving up really high. Now, I had to take the butterfly valve assembly out, and one of the screws was embedded in there. I had to drill it out and put a slightly different sort of brass screw in there. It's a bit of an ordeal, to be honest. It took me about 4 or 5 hours, which is why it was just on a time lapse. Anyway, so today I've got to get that out, and we're going to have another look at it, and we're going to sort of see what this inlet manifold looks like and why it's leaking, and then hopefully put it all back together, not leaking, and you know, you never know, maybe take this thing out of the workshop. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Oh God, not again. Now, I know we're doing sort of Panhard video after Panhard video here, which is not my style. I usually like to break it up with other stuff, but I did make a promise that we're going to take this to a car show, and I've not done any of the welding or anything yet, or sort of polished it up. I have cleaned the inside a bit more. I say I have, my sort of 1 day a week, my mate's lad, Toby, who comes in and helps me. He's done a lot of the scrubbing inside, so it's looking a bit better in there, smelling a lot better, but there's still loads to do, so I have to put a bit more time into this. These bolts are really awkward as well. There's still going to be a lot of cool stuff coming up soon on this YouTube channel. Got a lot of things saved up that are sort of, I'm going to start to work on now, really. The Mini, I'm just waiting for one last piece of the puzzle, and then we're going to do that whole thing. And then you've got another Left 4 Dead outside. You've got the Mondeo, which I'm still not sure what to do with, but it's still there. I haven't scrapped it or sold it for parts, so that's going to be coming up. The Spitfire, if you've been waiting for more videos on that, again, yeah, hang tight, I'm going to be working on it now. And I painted the other side of the floor in here, which I'll show you in a second. One of the issues with this whole thing is that I've only got this one. If I mess this up, I haven't got another one. If I break anything, I haven't got another one. So, and I can't just go and buy one. They don't, I'm telling you, they don't exist. This carburettor is a Stromberg 34 or something like that. And it's really, really uncommon. I as is always my luck, I always buy the things that are super uncommon. So I can't just go to the shop and buy like a refurbished one of these. So I've got to try and make this one work essentially, which is proving a little bit more difficult than I would have liked. Did you see that washer that just fell into the engine? Good job I did. Now, it is this thing that's leaking, and I'm hoping it's from these gaskets on the side that we can potentially make a couple of new gaskets for. But first, we need to get it off. That was easy. So it's all out now, and I've got such good access to the gearbox, and I'm just really tempted to sort of get stuck in. The engine is mounted by these two bits of the exhaust here. The exhaust goes in there, and then there's 3 bolts, and then you've got obviously the bolts and the bell housing there. So tempted now that all that's out to just sort of get in there, but the action of me removing this engine from the gearbox, I don't want to have to bend it and pull it and get a lever bar in there and stuff because it's seized. I'd rather it just sort of break free, and I'm not going to be able to do that just by doing that. So I'm kind of like, you know, we haven't even ran this around the yard for a while. Someone commented on the last video, just get it hot and it'll come loose. So I'd rather try that first, and then if I've got to take all that out again, I've got to take it all out again, but I'd rather try this first just to see if we can get this clutch to come back to life, because that is the missing piece of the puzzle at the moment. Anyway, look at this spidery looking thing. Cool, isn't it? Dead smart. And also the carb I've just been playing about with here, as you can tell, and I've managed to get that to return nicely. So that bit's sorted. Now, why was this leaking? Why was it leaking? That's what we need to ask ourselves. Let's get this on a little bench and we'll have a little better look at it. Hello, welcome to Blue Peter. Today we're going to be making a large metal spider. Why does it leak? What was happening? No leaks from the carburettor, yet this was leaking. Now there's a hole there, so why is there a hole in it? Surely it's not going to be something as simple as it was running out of a hole. It was running out of a hole in the inlet manifold. What is that all about? Why is there a hole there? Has that just been worn down over the years? Is it rusted? Is it supposed to be there? Is it supposed to have like a screw in it? I don't know. I might have to give someone from the owners club a quick call and ask them. But for now, I'm going to pull the rest of these bolts off on here, clean all these surfaces up and make sure that the gaskets and everything are okay before we put it back together. Because I don't want any air leaks, because we were getting quite a lot of backfiring, so I want to try and eliminate any air leaks in the inlet system, which is this bit. Or which is all of it, I'd imagine, just some of it goes into the exhaust. It's a great design though. You can see how this had the amount of horsepower that it does for back in the day. You know, it was obviously quite a powerful engine for a 2-cylinder, like 900cc, I forget. But yeah, impressive work. Mad how the nuts on the bottom though were brass. Kind of get it, kind of don't, hard to get off. Anyway, I'm going to do a bit of investigating and we'll find out. Just undone these bolts here. There's a rubber gasket in there. If you can see, I can move that out of the way. Little rubber gasket there. It looks like all sorts of stuff's been getting through it, so they're going to want replacing. And I think the owners club picked up on this and they sent me a couple of these, which would be brilliant. So I'm going to have a little look for those now and we'll get those fitted when we put it back together. But that's the hole that I'm talking about. Looks like it's supposed to be there. And it's just a tiny little pinhole. But why would they do that? Unless it's a manufacturing like port and I don't know, it's just corroded and leaks over time. But anyway, I give the owners club a quick ring now, find these gaskets, get everything put back together, and then we're almost, you know, if I can fix that, I mean I could probably just tap a little grub screw into it or something just to stop it leaking. So I'll work that out, you know. We'll see what they say. Look at these sent from the owners club. Absolute perfection. Love that. It's going to be a big help. So we'll get those on. Make a nice seal. So I'd like to run a little tap through this. But to do that, I need to make the hole bigger first. What have I done? And then obviously send this thing through. I'm just going to go and have a look for a bolt, make sure I've got one that will match that thread, and then I can just put a little bit of stuff on it, plonk the bolt in, happy days, leak fixed. Right then, so I've tapped my thread into there. Now if I get a bolt that matches up with it, we'll stand half a chance, won't we? Pretty nice. So I've got my little screw, it's a little Allen key new thing, put a little rubber gasket round it, just going to dip it in this great stuff, and then that can live in there. This is its new home. Hello, welcome to your new home. Cool. Potentially we now have a non-leaky gasket. It's just going to blow all that swarfy stuff out of there, and then can all go back on the car, really, can't it? Got to leave this for a bit just to go off before we start throwing petrol down it again, but hopefully that is job done. Okay, I think everything's back together. I think. I've got some adjustments to do in places that the cables are slowly starting to stop working, but it's fine. It's only just a normal little cable. I need to fire her up and see if she leaks, and if she doesn't, great, you know. And then we can worry about moving it. Safety feature, safety locks. Where's the key? Nice. I wonder if I should take it out of gear maybe. Success! There is no leak. I mean, it's a win, isn't it? It is wanting to rev a bit high, but I might take it outside and have a bit of a tune and play around with everything, you know? What do you think? Should we let it see some daylight? I like the sound of that. She's outside. Isn't it shiny now that she's outside? I put this sort of temporary fuel tanky type thing on just to keep everything a little bit more, less likely to burst into flames. Put her in neutral. I'm just going to run her up for a bit. Just let her get hot, you know, let her get warm. Nice day, why not? Couple of things I'm really happy with. It's no longer backfiring, so those air leaks have been sorted, which is brilliant news, because I was hoping that was it. And also she seems to be running really nice. Potentially a little bit rich, but I'm going to get some more fuel and some additives to put that in. Fucking noisy, man. She does sound really good. You know, we've got brakes now, so we can take her around the yard and try and free that clutch up. We've got throttle, and we've got clutch pedal anyway, which is still currently jammed by a bit of wood. It's come on a long way. I know it doesn't look it, but it has. Where exactly are we up to then? She runs really sweet, that's great. No more fuel pouring out onto the hot engine bits, which is always good. But there is a problem. She's over fueling in a big way, and I don't quite know why. I don't think it's a mixture thing, I think it's more of a bowly type thing. So I'm going to do a little bit of research and see what does what on the car, on the carb. But for now, we're out of fuel. The fuel ran out, so I can't do any more today. But I'm going to get some fuel on the way home. And then tomorrow, I'm going to do a bit more on the car. And we're going to see if we can make a move. As far as I can see, the clutch hasn't freed up yet. But, you know, and we did get a pretty hot, but, you know, could be hotter. So, yeah, pretty good for day 600 on this. And I'll see you in a few seconds for the next day. It's day 768 and I have a renewed determination for this thing today. Having a little bit of a look last night at sort of availability of carburetors and things, and I found out this carburetor, its official name is a Zenith 36 WIM. So now that I've found that, I managed to sort of go through and have a look at, you know, what's available, and again, nothing, but there is some helps and some images and all that sort of stuff, so I can get a bit of an idea of what's going on. Fortunately as well, you can take the top of the carb off with leaving the carb in place, and that lets you see the bowl with the float and stuff, because it is over-fueling. The other option is the slightly sort of get out of jail free card that you might have seen the trick in the first video, is to clamp the fuel hose to just sort of make the gap from that to that, so it can only suck a small amount of fuel through and it doesn't flood. That's the next option if, you know, we need to do that. But I'm going to try and fix the carb for now. I'm going to have sort of half an hour, just dig into it and have a bit of a look and see what I can find. And I'll let you know. And then we can pull it out again, fire it up again, and try and get it to just maintain a real nice steady idle. And if we can do that, hey, we can do anything. Summer is really here. It was late, and apparently it's only going to last 2 days, but it's here. And it's 27 degrees or something at the moment, which is a little bit too warm for me. But I'm just going to carry on, drink lots of water, you know. Okay, so a couple of things I wanted to check. Here is the gasket that I made. So I wanted to see if there's any visible signs of anything leaking anywhere. Because apparently this carb runs off a vacuum sort of suction-y type thing, and that's what I'm interested in. So the little squirty bob is working fine, and there doesn't seem to be any signs of leaking in my gasket as well, which is great news. Well, it might be after I've taken it off there. No, there we go. I can see the float there. Now, with this float, if I can get it out, when I was doing the carb, I took this over to the sink and I just rested it in a thing of water so I could see if it was still working as a float, and it was, which is great. But I'm going to do it again just to check. So we can see that the float, just hold on to that for me there, the float is floating, which is great news. Okay, so everything looks normal and looks like it should be working absolutely fine. So I'm going to fire up and give her a go. So using these lovely grips on here, I could get it to idle, and then it just died, and then that thing started to overheating because I left it on start instead of charge. Anyway, I've now rigged up DOS fuel filters, right? My thinking behind this is that it's going to, because it feels like the fuel pump is essentially overpowering the carb. I've been having a look online, and it, with these you know, these fangled things, whatever they're called, Strombergs, Zenith stuff, it's on Land Rovers, and the 36 is on a lot of Land Rovers, but not this model, but the similar sort of design. And this is a fairly common problem, it seems, is this overfueling. And the leak was, I think, saving its life. The leak was keeping it running because fuel was just pouring out everywhere instead of going into the engine and blackening the plugs. So I put these on so I can monitor the fuel flow a bit better, but also I'm hoping that the resistance that these give is just going to be enough to stop it spewing fuel in. So we'll see. You can see it was sort of doing its job. Obviously, you know, just a bit of resistance on there. It wasn't emptying this, and it was filling that, you know, and it wasn't filling that completely, so it wasn't flying it in. But again, didn't want to keep on running then. It's properly not happy, is it? Might have to take the carb off again, just take it over to the bench and have a look at the, you know, needles and seats and stuff, make sure there's no crap in there. Already done all this once, kind of twice, so I might have to do that again, but it shouldn't have any bad fuel coming up because it's running off the fresh fuel in the tank. The only thing it could be is bits from inside the fuel pump have found their way in and clogged it up, but that's what those two fuel filters now are hopefully going to help solve. So I've got my compressed air, and have a little bit of a play with things, take a few things out, blow a few things out, see if I can get that to, you know, work okay. If not, we'll take the carb off and we'll take it back in and strip it all apart again. It's great fun, isn't it? And it's just great working in direct sunlight, 30 degrees as well. I don't know, if I couldn't complain about the weather, I don't know what I'd complain about. Ticking over really nicely, sounds great. It's definitely running 2 lanes, so I'm going to pull the top of the carb off again, take one of those washers off, put it back, and hopefully that's going to sort it. So join me in a second. think I'm getting sunburn. Now it can breathe. Gasket myself. Idling a bit high, but whatever. That butterfly's still catching it, but I can live with that. I can turn it down a bit more, but it's okay for now with no clutch. Dead happy. That'll sit there all day doing that now. Throttle response. Sounds like it's got loads of power. Mega chuck. Right, let's have a little tidy up, and there's just one big quarry. Let's hit the road. Right, so I'm just getting set up. Dickie's just give us a quick hand trying the clutch mechanism, and I think so it's moving, but I'm only moving the clutch about that much, which hopefully is enough. But the cable is stuck inside the outer cable, so it needs a new cable. So that's another thing I've got to measure and then try and find a replacement of, which is a bit frustrating. But it should work, really, even with that much sort of thing. It should at least slip or something. So the idea is now to get it into first gear. I've got brakes, so if anything comes I can slam on the brakes. I'll test them just here now, and then go for an actual drive and just motor around a few times, do a few laps. You know, do you want a cup? You know, no seat belts. Really, isn't it? My foot's firmly on the clutch. Just Gonna do a few laps, see what we can do, see if we can free it off, you know. If not, it's gearbox out. I'd rather not do that. It drives exceptionally well though. Steering's good, tyres feel good, brakes seem to stop you. Fantastic. In my time, but this is up there with the sketchiest. Still no clutch. I think I must have had it up to 15 mile an hour before, which was, yeah, very scary. It's making a lot of noise. Speed, power. Engine feels great. And brakes again fantastic, but no clutch. Come on, clutch. Just want to hear that ping. That's all I want. Don't ask for much. Could start welding you then. A few more laps and we'll have to call it a day, I think. I gotta get out of the sun, man. It's dusty in there. What a thing though. I am gonna call this one, believe it or not, a success. Reason being is that the engine's now running beautifully with 0 leaks from the carburettor, so the engine's sweet as a nut and I don't have to worry about it setting on fire, which is great. What the hell was that? Next though, the clutch. I was really hoping it'd just break free, but it just doesn't feel like it's going to. And I haven't got much travel in the pedal. So I'm going to measure up for a new cable for that now. And I'm going to look into finding a clutch. Because if I can find a new clutch for it, that means I don't have to really worry too much about separating the engine and the gearbox and, you know, breaking this clutch off. Because if it all comes out in pieces, it's no good. So, and I might need some help for that, Rob, if you're watching. So yeah, success. It's going to be a little while before you see this again because I've got to gather some parts together. But all we've got to do now is sort that clutch, do a load of welding on it, and then polish it. Is that all? Doesn't sound like much, does it? But yeah, in the meantime, got to go hunting for spares. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, hopefully very soon. Bye.